Welcome to Kinder Things. I'm your host, Mike Shaw, and on this podcast, we're embarking on a journey to get a glimpse into the wondrous world of kindness. I'm as excited as you are to meet new guests, hear their stories, and learn from their insights. Just trying to make this podcast a platform for the little things, because that's where we see the real magic of life at work. Thanks for listening. To become a master in any field, it takes 10,000 hours of concentrated practice. Today's guest, Jennifer Shahade, has become a master of two of the most fascinating mind sports on the planet, chess and poker. She's a two-time U.S. Women's Chess Champion and currently serves as the U.S. Chess Federation's Women's Program Director. In poker, she battles at the highest stakes against some of the most elite, accomplished players in the world. Jen hosts two podcasts. One is called Ladies Night, which is the official podcast of U.S. Chess Women. And the other one, my personal favorite, is called The Grid, which is all about poker and specifically No Limit Hold'em. Earlier this year, The Grid won the award for Best Poker Podcast at the Global Poker Awards. Jen and her podcast, The Grid, directly inspired me to start this show, Kinder Things. So thank you, Jen. We had the opportunity to sit and chat in Rittenhouse Square Park in Philadelphia. All right, let's go meet Jen. Hey, Jen, good morning.
Hello, thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for carving out some time to be on the show today. We are in Rittenhouse Square. It's autumn of 2020, and I personally love this park. I found a lot of sanctuary here. Have you spent much time in Rittenhouse over the years?
Yes. I mean, I have pictures of me and my brother playing on that goat over there.
Oh, yeah?
Right
Greg?
over there, yeah. And today, I bring my little boy here to play in the same goat. So, yeah, I have a lot of memories here.
Fabian?
Fabian.
Cool. Yeah, I learned last year that Fabian and I share the same birthday, which is really cool.
Yeah, January 3rd, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And before we dive into it, I do have a few small gifts for you for coming on to the show.
What?
Yeah.
I've never gotten a gift to open up an interview.
I had to. rarely cross paths, so wanted to. I know you're big on coffee, yeah?
Yes, how'd you know?
So have you ever tried this Four Sigmatic?
No, I haven't. I haven't tried that kind. And my son is going to go gaga over the chessmen.
Oh, for the coffee?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was struggling with coffee this year. Like a few blends were just giving me like a lot of anxiety. But this blend is really smooth. There's something called ashwagandha in it that really cuts any sort of anxiety. And then I got you a good health candle.
Oh my God.
For the COVID years, I figured this is just a good omen. Candles during over the COVID period had become like a Zen-like ritual for me. And then I got this for
Oh my God!
It's
funny. That's so thoughtful because I've been thinking about getting him some kind of memory game.
Yeah, this is
as I've heard they're really good for like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. So that's so great. Thank you so much. He's gonna be so happy.
Yeah, my niece started playing memory when she was 5, and by age 8 she's been unbeatable.
Oh, Fabian has a really good memory. I think kids in general have good memories. More like long-term stuff than short-term stuff. Like he'll pass by a park, Fittler Park, which I think you're going to do another one of your interviews at.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, "Oh, this is like the birthday park," because we went to a birthday party there a year prior.
Wow.
Like
cool.
they have good memories for that kind of thing, which goes to show that it's never a loss to give fantastic memories to children. Because I think even if they forget it later in life, it's potentially even more valuable because it forms part of who they are.
Yeah.
Like their core selves. And those presents are amazing, honestly.
Oh, cool.
Those are like, first of all, ever since COVID, I've become even more attached to coffee because it's like the thing that I look forward to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And like, as crazy as it sounds, even like at night, I'm already like thinking like, oh, it's gonna be so great to like wake up and have a good cup of coffee. So
And 2 days ago, we celebrated International Podcast Day. So
yes.
I wanted to like in person congratulate you on your podcast, The Grid, which won the Global Poker Award of 2020.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that was back in March, right? The first week of March.
Yes, that was my last trip before this all hit. And even that trip, I was like kind of on the fence about going. Originally, we were going to go with my whole family,
Yeah,
Daniel and Fabi. So that was a little sad that we didn't get to do that.
yeah,
But of course, winning was really sweet and actually surprising.
yeah.
I was a little surprised.
I remember how excited you were to be nominated.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had the biggest smile when you won, and I loved Daniel's reaction on Facebook.
Oh yeah, he was
He was so
surprised
great.
too.
Yeah.
It's cool that they really keep that stuff secret so that you can be properly surprised.
Oh, so you didn't know? Cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you if you knew ahead of time.
You know, I really didn't think I was going to win, but then I did get a slight tip off that I should have some remarks prepared.
Yeah.
It wasn't like 100%, but I was like, oh, I guess I should, know what I'm going to say.
Yeah. And I should let listeners know Jen here, she hosts two excellent podcasts. One is called Ladies Night. Ladies Night is the official chess podcast for U.S. women's chess.
Yes, exactly. U.S. chess women, right?
Yeah. And then she hosts an excellent, my personal favorite podcast called The Grid, which is all based on poker, a game her and I are both fascinated by. And listeners, you should definitely know that her podcast, The Grid, directly affected and inspired me to start this show here. I discovered the Grid last August, just threw it on, wound up binging 4 episodes right in a row. And I remember standing outside of ShopRite kind of like with a mini epiphany, thinking like, I forgot how much I love poker and I love this new medium, this podcasting. Like I could see the prospect of it. And then I was like, I should do one of these, like, but for kindness. This is a perfect platform for all these little stories that I hear. And so the next day, after listening to The Grid, I looked up podcast studios in Philly. First one I click on, I gave a call, told Jimmy here, the engineer, my idea for the show. And boom, we booked a date, and Kinder Things was born like the day after hearing The Grid.
That's amazing to follow through so quickly. I love it.
I had to, because if I would have overthought it and logistically, like I probably would have thought myself out of it.
I love the theme. I think it's a great idea to
Cool.
delve more into that world, because people, I think they think of kindness as something that's, more of like a default rather than an active process sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong, because sometimes it's difficult.
I was curious, like, with chess and poker, like, what kind of kindness you've learned through those two games and those two mediums.
Well, I guess one of the big things in both games is that people can be so raw with their emotions because the game feels like a mini death. If you're
Yeah.
in a big tournament or a big chess tournament or a big poker tournament, a big chess game or a big chess poker tournament, and you bubble the tournament or you lose the chess game in a winning position, it sounds crazy, but what your body is going through feels a lot akin to loss, like
Yeah.
serious loss, like serious horrible thing happened to you. And of course that's ridiculous. That's not the case.
Yeah.
But your body mimics that for at least like an hour or so,
Yeah.
right? And then luckily it doesn't linger, like usually not. Usually it doesn't linger for as long as like a real loss,
Yeah.
unless it's like, an actual financial loss, which I guess it could. And I think that that's where the kindness comes in, being, really good to people during those times. And I think that that's hard because it's not always easy to understand what somebody needs during a time like that.
Yeah.
Because every person is different. Like some people might need to like just talk about something totally different. Some people might need to be totally alone. Some people might actually talk strategically about what happened, whether it was right or wrong. And for some people, that might be like the worst thing that just makes them feel really worse and guilty. So I think that's a big lesson from both games, that it's individual. And then if you take that to something that's actually really serious and, something that's part of life, like losing a loved one, you can see that it's exactly the same, right? Where
It almost trains you for
Yes.
these like moments of deep loss.
that everybody's different. Do you mind if I grab my jacket? I don't
Oh,
have
sure.
mine here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think that yeah, it's a great training for that, and about just being really individual and not pre-packaging things and saying like the same thing for every person. Like just thinking about it.
You've done a great job with being in touch with your voice, and now through the grid, I feel like you're really building like a community and a safe space for poker players to commune and be like a little more kind to one another. Like just some of your banter with some of these players that I personally look up to is just really jovial and insightful and makes poker feel less of like a shark infested pool and more of like a community. So thank you for taking the energy and time to build that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and
Yeah.
it helps me with my conversational skills because especially during this pandemic time, it's easy just to forget to have conversations about anything other than it, or
Yeah.
also just lose your basic social skills, right?
And also we talk about like kindness and poker, which is, somewhat of an anomaly, but somebody who I really think embodies like true kindness and just like a jovial nature is your father, Michael Shahadi. He's absolute joy to play with. Like I met him long before we crossed paths. He's just very respected, just like such a great presence at the table. They even at the local casino here they refer to him as the mayor of Sugar House or Rivers.
One thing that I learned from my dad, which has become really clear, and my mom, which has become really clear over the years, is not always shared, is their wonderful lack of snobbiness. And, that actually works in both directions.
Yeah.
So one thing my dad was always really good at was, like, making friends with, like, celebrities or powerful people because he never, like, really was intimidated. It was never like he was like, oh, my God, you're so great. I'm such a fan, right?
Yeah, he would never placate their ego.
Yeah, and
I
so
see.
he always got into like a great friendly banter with them immediately, and by the same token, he didn't think that people who worked in customer service or my mom as well were like any lesser or like talked
Yeah.
down to.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's two sides of the same coin. Like if you think that like these famous people are so great and like they're just like on a different level than you, then you also might think that you are on another level than other people.
Yeah.
So having that equanimity, I think, is such an important life skill. And
Equanimity is such an important thing that's taught in this poker world that you kind of embody over the years.
yes, in a way, I mean, it's also a very hierarchical world, but
Yeah.
then if you do have the money to play X event or to buy into that event, everybody is the same at that moment in some way. And yeah, I think that's a great skill that you learn from games.
Yeah, your father, he really has a lot of the same qualities as Mike Sexton, another Mike S., who sadly, the poker
Mm.
world lost a few weeks ago. He lost a battle with cancer.
Oh, terrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
I unfortunately I did not know Mike well. I think I might have met him in passing once, and
Yeah.
obviously he was great. But after hearing and reading all the stories, I was
Yeah.
so sad not to know him more. And I think that goes to show it's just one of these things where you have to try to reach out to people who you're interested in hearing their stories before they die.
Yeah.
And it sounds so morose. It's like you don't want to regret. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying I regret because we just didn't really cross paths. It's not like I had a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities, but I still think it was like a wake up call. Like that's so sad that there was this wonderful gift to poker and I didn't really get to intersect with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Who in your family, who in House Shahadi discovered poker first?
Well, my mom actually,
No way.
whose name wasn't Shahadi, she was Dr. Sally Solomon over at Drexel University, and she had a
Wow.
weekly game with her poker with her friends. She was the only woman, so
Yeah.
and they played all these different games, and I remember just they were always laughing hysterically. They played until the till the end, and that was remarkable. And then my brother got into it very seriously when the No Limit Hold'em boom took
Oh,
hold.
he was first, and then
Yeah,
kind of
Dad, played in some of my mom's games, but then
yeah.
also he got more into No Limit when it became like a boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my dad and my brother are so different in their approach to poker. Like my dad loves live poker.
Yeah.
And doesn't gravitate as much to the online game. And Greg's the exact
He's
opposite.
online wizard.
Yeah. Online and the live he doesn't really quite have the patience for. Greg's very social, but not in a different way, I guess, than my dad.
Well, I think I really do think you are a marvel, and you're mastering two of the most fascinating mind sports / games on the planet, chess and poker. And you've really taken a mentorship kind of leadership role in these two realms, all while managing a family, embracing motherhood, and really can't be more proud of everything that you're doing. And in closing, I do choose a song for every guest at the end of episode to check out. And for you, I chose the artist Sophie Tucker, and the name of the song for you to check out is called Benadryl. Sophie Tucker is a two-piece from Brooklyn. It's SOFI TUKKER. And the reason I chose that song is every week you release a new episode of The Grid. So my little ritual is I take a walk around South Philly, kind of get lost, throw the podcast on and really enjoy it. And then after the podcast, I will turn on Sophie Tucker for the rest of my walk home. And the song Benadryl is kind of similar to the theme song for The Grid. So I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, the Grace Mesa song. Yeah. Wow, I can't wait to listen to it. So Benadryl,
Yeah.
okay.
And also, I do need you to choose a number between 11 and 320.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Strange range, I know.
Well, I guess I can pick. Can I pick a number on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
169.
169. What's the
That's the number of episodes. That's the number of episodes of The Grid. Yes, that I have to finish.
Once The Grid is complete, listeners, there will be 169 episodes. It's going to be a wonderful time capsule for our fascinating game of poker.
And by the way, Mike has already reserved a hand. King 7 off.
Uh-huh.
So I'm excited.
The first tournament I ever won was with King 7 off suit. And so I have this pocketbook of kindness here, and I'm going to turn to page 169. Do you want to read it?
Sure. Somewhere near you, somebody right now is trying to help the indigent, the poor, providing food, shelter, clothing, or simple kindness.
Oh, cool. And who's the...
Tony Snow.
Cool. All right. And that's your quote for the day. I also have one more quote to share with you. It's by a guy named Thomas Merton, and the quote is, happiness is not a matter of intensity, but of balance, order, rhythm, and harmony. And I remember the first time I met you was at the restaurant I was working at. You had Fabian in a stroller, and I held the door for you, and I wound up sharing that quote with you. So I figured I would bring it back full circle.
Oh, I love that. Yes, yes. And I remember that. I think we were celebrating my dad's birthday.
Oh, cool.
And that not that time.
Yeah.
The most recent time we were at Honey's with the family.
I do remember, yeah.
And I do remember this amazing chocolate cake that came out. You guys were so nice. Yes.
Cool. Sweet. Well, thank you once again for being here on the show, and I wish you happiness, prosperity, and good health.
Yes, and to all your listeners, thank you so much.
All right. I'll see you, Jen. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed your time, please check out uschess.org and make a charitable donation to one of their programs. Thank you once again for listening to this episode of Kinder Things. Hope you've enjoyed the time spent. If you ever feel so inclined to share a story or would like to be a guest on the show, please reach out to kinderthingspodcast@gmail.com or message me on Instagram at kinderthingspodcast. Have a great night.